Rich, you want to introduce yourself and talk about your background?
All right. Well, my name's Rich Washburn. I've been in technology pretty much my entire life. I'm what everyone would classify as a geek or a nerd, or the typical thing. Spent my whole life as a kid playing with computers and grew up in that, and that was my career. And
what was the first toy you played with as a kid? Do you remember that really got you into technology?
It's funny because it's not really technology. It's like super low tech, but Legos.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. Legos are everyone I know in IT, in development, in coding, anything creative, I find we all find our origins back somewhere in Legos.
Yeah, and that's what got me to want to build things physically as opposed to build things digitally.
Well, so Legos came out with a I think it was called Lego Mind something, whatever. But it was basically a set of Legos that had motors,
a motor,
and
yeah, I know what you're talking
lights
about. Yep.
and stuff like that. You could build a claw, and you could program it. Nowadays, everyone's doing that with a Raspberry Pi and maker kits that are pretty easily available on Amazon.
That cost $1,000.
Yeah, they call it that because of the demand. Raspberry Pis used to be $50. They're 300 because people go and buy them all up for $50 and then resell them for 300.
Well, they buy 30 thinking that they're going to make a miner, a
Right.
Bitcoin miner.
Oh, that's true too.
It doesn't do anything, and they're like, I need to get rid of these.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right.
People don't realize how much power they don't have.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you want to play a video game off of it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here today to talk about AI. My first question is, what does AI mean to you?
To me personally, or what I think it means for me as a human on planet Earth.
Well, what does it mean to you personally? Let's start off with that.
To me personally, it's an evolutionary step. It's something that the nerd crowd like myself who grew up watching Star Trek and Star Wars and all the sci-fi, and in almost every case you have like this really smart voice command operated computer running the ship or whatever it is, and it's useful. It's a member of the crew. It can do anything that you can do, and it basically takes the load off you. So it's to me personally, it's it's before we had the iPhone, every Trekkie wanted a tricorder. And then we got iPhones, and now the Trekkies have their iQuarter or their tricorder, right? So it's that. It's the talking computer that's actually useful. It's not just like saying things that are pre-programmed into it.
It's the Lego nostalgia.
There is a nostalgia to it. There is a, like here. So if they came out with hoverboards, like legit, levitating.
Go on, I'm listening.
Hoverboards. Yeah, I know this is right up your alley. Right?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So well, sign me up. Can I pre-order that?
Yeah.
So yeah, they come out with that. Everyone's gonna have the Back to the Future nostalgia thing and say, dude, we've been waiting for these for a long time. Like I remember as a kid, 10 years old, I legit thought that in my 40s we would definitely have flying cars, jetpacks, hoverboards, all the things. Instead, we got the internet and AI, which we didn't think of back then either, but which honestly are way better. I mean, the other ones would be way cooler. A hoverboard would be definitely cooler. A jetpack would be cooler, but not so productive. The internet's created a lot of opportunity, which is what AI means to everyone else, or everyone in general is opportunity. To me, it's cool and it's an opportunity, but to the average person, to a business owner, to an entrepreneur, it's opportunity. Huge opportunity.
You think it's alien created?
No, but it's funny. I was thinking about it. It's funny you bring up the alien thing. So, if I told you that in in 5 years, 5 to 10 years. So we look through the Hubble, and we can see a craft out there heading our direction, and we can estimate that within 5 to 10 years, aliens will be here. They are clearly on a trajectory to planet Earth. They are obviously technologically advanced, and they are coming at us. And we can say, listen, 5 to 10 years, they will be here. That's AI. It's not coming from space, but I assure you, it's alien. It is not. It's not like anything that we've ever done. It's a significant change in how we are going to see technology and develop our future.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions too, and you bring it up all the time of talking about the algorithm changing and people searching for stuff and getting one answer as opposed to getting another answer. Do you think that there's any misconceptions of what AI is and is not?
You know, like the Sarah Connor misconception, like AI's like Terminator, like AI's coming for us, we're all gonna die.
Or even the ability to change the direction of AI. Do you think it's a single person changing one line of code that can change AI?
No. So you program a neural network, and then you make that neural network as parallel as you can manage, right? So you run as many concurrent versions of this. Like if you were buying a computer and you say, hey, listen, I can put a processor, I can get one Intel processor, or I can go and buy like 1,000 of them and stack them all together and get 1,000 times the horsepower. A lot of heat sink, a lot of fans. That's the same thing. So you're going to take these neural networks and you're going to build them into these models and train them. And based on that training is how they're going to function and how they're going to work. So can you bias them? 100%. Do they lie? Definitely. The popular ChatGPT that everyone's using, blown up, gone viral, reason why we're having this conversation, I imagine, it lies all the time. It gives inaccurate information, false information all the time. What it's going to be about is, and this is why, you know, the misconceptions of, you know, everyone's going to lose their job and everyone's, you know, we're all done, is it still takes a human to interact with this thing to get a good product out. This thing is not, ironically, at CanWrite, so you interact with these AIs using what's called a prompt. And this prompt is essentially you telling it or asking it to do something. If you do like just a zero shot, like you just say, hey, write me a letter about this, it's going to do a decent job, but it's going to do it without any context, without any bias, without any information being put into it first. It'll be halfway decent, but if you were to front load it, bias it, and you know, the same way, you know, you could do it politically, you could do it, you know, with any sort of information, where you predefine the nature of the conversation, and then what it spits out to you is more focused on that, you know, column of information. So if I wanted to write a marketing letter, first I need to say, hey, listen, you're a marketing genius first, or you know, act as a, you know, marketing person. I can say act as a network engineer and ask it marketing questions, but I'm not going to get very good ones. I'm going to get better advice on network engineering than I am, you know, marketing, and vice versa.
Preloading it.
Right, preloading it, you know. So part of the thing right now with ChatGPT is it is essentially trained up to information that ends at 2021. So it's not really plugged into the internet in a way that it doesn't know everything past 20 or anything past 2021, unless
supposedly.
Allegedly, right. And I've tested it, and it doesn't seem to, but you can give it information, and that will now be part of its collective knowledge base. Doesn't mean that it's accurate, because you can tell it whatever you want to tell it. Whether you're, garbage in, garbage out, right? If you fill it with garbage, obviously that's what you're going to get out of it.
So do you think that's where a lot of the, what we call lies or things that aren't true could come from? Just people filling it up with a lot of garbage?
Yeah, I mean, so if you got 100,000 people in ChatGPT telling it that the sky is pink, right? It doesn't have an opinion whether it's pink or blue. It's just going to do what you told it. It's going to build its understanding of the world around it based on everything that you're telling it. This is why, so OpenAI, which is what brought you ChatGPT, why would they release and allow for free millions of people to just beat this thing up all day? And the answer is they're training it. You're actually going to work. Like you are working for them. You're training this thing. You're adding, millions and millions and millions of conversations a day to its understanding of a language model. Remember, GPT is what they call a large language model. All it knows is language. So we all remember on our old Blackberries when you'd start typing a text message or an email to somebody and it would predict the next word, so you didn't have to type it. You could just select from 3 or 4 words up above the keyboard, so you could just
it's still like that today,
shortcut
not just
it.
BlackBerry.
Okay, so that's all a large language model is. That's all GPT is it starts with one word, which obviously it got from your prompt, and then it picks the most likely next word in the language that you're talking in that makes sense. And it just does that over and over and over again, which is crazy because it comes up with some really coherent, good stuff. But that's also one of the reasons why it can lie. It's not lying necessarily because it's biased. It's lying because you're essentially, it's a random generation of words, but it's a weighted random. There's weight on words that make sense, obviously, but it doesn't get it right every time. In fact, it's remarkable that it gets it right as much as it does.
So in stating that it's this word generator, right? It's far more advanced than what we have in our normal text messages. Do you think that has the capability of surpassing human intelligence? Now, memory, right? Because a lot of education takes memory into account, right? Can you remember everything that's going to be on this test? And if you do remember it, you're going to be rewarded with good grades.
Right.
But that's not really the ultimate, whether you're an intelligent person or not, right? A lot of creation of new things, your ability to solve complex problems that aren't just on a linear scale of mathematics or reading or whatever.
Intuition.
Yeah, intuition definitely goes into it as well.
Intangible human traits.
So do you think, taking that into consideration, that AI has the ability to surpass humans with intellect and evolution?
All right, so we got to make a distinction between AI and AGI. So what we're looking at right now with these systems is AI, right? These things don't have opinions. They don't have feelings. They're dumb, right? They are just performing a particular function, very well, but because they're doing it in a massive way, right? Which is why you're never going to run one of these on your phone. It has to run on a big. ChatGPT is running on a giant server farm somewhere that, quite honestly, they're probably having an issue keeping the AC cool enough. But AGI is...
What's that stand for?
Artificial General Intelligence.
Okay.
So the difference, let's say, ChatGPT can do a lot. AI can do a lot. AGI can essentially achieve and or surpass human intelligence. And here's the thing. So let's say you just achieve human intelligence. You achieve the intelligence potential of a, say, 30-year-old human, right? So you've been around a little bit. You've experienced the world, and you have a general understanding of how the world works. Like up is up, down is down. You know your left from right, colors and stuff like that. You know how to function in society. So, AGI, even in its, like first level instance, will be, like ChatGPT. Remember, ChatGPT's been out in the world since November and has damn near revolutionized the world already. It hasn't been around very long. AGI is going to move that needle a lot faster. It's going to be accelerated. So if you were to take a human, intelligent human, educate them on the entire collective works of humanity, every poem, every song, every piece of art, every business plan, every architectural design, everything, every line of code, everything. If you were to essentially have this AGI ingest, now this AGI has the say like cognitive horsepower of an adult human, right? It's going to be significantly better at everything that an adult human would be at, because it doesn't get tired, it doesn't have a focus problem,
Doesn't smoke.
It's not going to take smoke breaks, it's not going to take bathroom breaks, it's not going to do anything other than whatever it's tasked to do. And by tasked to do, you're going to no one's keyboards are going to be gone. Like, you want to look at like an interesting future thing. So you've got biometrics for security, face scan, eye scan, fingerprint scan. So it's not like you have to type in a password. And now everything you need to do to interact with a computer, you can do by voice command. Like, the whole Hey Siri thing.
A lot of things are going to change drastically once quantum computing gets introduced into regular society, not just at its most elite level.
So quantum computing. So here's what's interesting. These models don't take as much horsepower as was expected they would in their day-to-day operation. Don't get me wrong, ChatGPT's probably, their server room is probably on fire all the time. I've managed server rooms. I can tell you that they're pegged all the time. Someone's fanning that thing. Someone's having a rough day.
But that's just because there's a lot of people.
A lot of people use it. It's like gone viral sort of thing.
But if there was only one person using it, it would be
no. So you've seen. So let's shift a little bit just to bring in another one of the popular AI systems out there is Midjourney, and you've used Midjourney a bit. So for Midjourney is to graphics and imagery what ChatGPT and OpenAI are to language and text.
It's a little bit better in text for sure.
Yeah, it's cooler.
Yeah,
it's definitely cooler.
Yeah.
So what makes Midjourney work is a model known as Stable Diffusion. You can actually download and run a Stable Diffusion AI locally on your home computer without the need for a big server farm. So the quantum computers will definitely have an impact on artificial intelligence, but will probably be more of an impact when we get a good AGI.
Okay. But it'll for sure help with the amount of load you can put on the system.
Sure. I mean, listen, horsepower is horsepower.
Yeah.
More of it, more better, right?
Yeah, more better,
more gooder. Like, more horsepower, good.
All right. Next question is, what industry is AI taking over first?
I don't think it's going to be a single industry at one time. It's already. So here's the thing, we've all called tech support and gone through like the automated message thing where we're just talking to the automated thing and telling it what we need, right?
I hate it.
We all hate it.
Yeah,
it's
I just
terrible.
keep pounding 0 until they give me a person.
Or hang up on you. That's not an option.
Yeah.
So that's obviously the first big splash. But here's the thing, AI is being used everywhere. Here's the thing, so a lot of people don't realize that 25, 30 years ago when you got that Canon PowerShot camera, that when you put it into auto mode and you're using autofocus and it's changing all the settings in there really, really, really fast, it's actually using a rudimentary form of AI. AI is not new. What's new is AI being handed to the masses. Is saying, here, everybody play with this and start thinking about it, and obviously come
For
up
sure.
with.
If
with
you think ChatGPT, OpenAI, was just created a couple of months ago,
right,
this definitely was almost at this point for, I would say, a few years.
at least, yeah. It was more like working out bugs and getting consistently and then scaling, right? Like, I'm sure what we all use as ChatGPT, a fairly similar functioning model of that has been in use at OpenAI for a while, just not able to scale. He couldn't have 1 million people beat it up.
For sure.
And here's the thing. So there's I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there's 1 million of these things out there. Services that have been writing internet content for people using AI for at least a few years, like 4 or 5 years at least.
News articles,
blogs, things like that. So again, the big impact here isn't AI itself. That's been around. That's been in the hands of people for a long time. The big part, and this can't stress this enough, is it's the fact that it's been handed to everybody essentially for free. It's the internet all over again, right? It's electricity all over again, right? It's a major step in how we're going to start to innovate and create going forward, and not just innovate and create, like just manage. I mean, just everyday mundane tasks start to get really easy around things like AI.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a while. When it came to, I think this was at least 10 years ago, and there was the whole South Park, they took our jobs, and they were talking about people overseas, people in other countries.
Right.
But if you were to go to a car manufacturing warehouse, there weren't people stamping sheet metal and welding parts. These are all machine parts.
Right.
These are mechanical arms that were doing all these tasks that would be filled with workers before are now filled with robots.
Right.
So this robot revolution of taking jobs has been going on for a while. It's just not as powerful as, let's say, OpenAI is, right?
Yeah, until you essentially take an OpenAI or train OpenAI to run those robots, and now the human involvement will be writing a prompt telling it what to do to sufficiently complete the task.
For sure. Robot.
So here's the thing: is people lost their jobs on that production line when jobs opened up for people to maintain and program and
learn to code.
Right? Learn to. I wasn't going to say it like that.
Yeah,
but
I'm going right to it.
That is exactly what it is. Learn to code. That's funny. So you say learn to code. Now it's learn to prompt.
Learn the prompt. That's why you're the prompt daddy. I thought of that like 15 minutes ago.
Someone better register that domain before I get back to the car.
No, you are.
Well,
you're the prompt daddy.
If I get it by the time I get back to the car, prompt daddy. This isn't.
You're
live,
the prompt daddy.
The prompt daddy. I like that. I may finally get a tattoo.
Prompts are the future.
They really are.
Prompts are the future. So, being the prompt daddy, that's significant.
Is the father of the future?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's deep. The irony of us sitting here at the beach discussing AI and it's, our Terminator future.
So going back with the machines taking over the factories, and now so you're taking a system that's capable of learning, it's capable of solving relatively complex problems.
I'd say fairly complex.
Yeah.
And that's only going to get so its ability to solve complex problems are in regular AI are usually just a matter of training. It's a matter of getting the right information in it, essentially writing the correct prompt, and giving it enough information to work on, and it'll solve really complex problems. AGI, forget about it. It's just gonna. That will be.
It's gonna do all the things.
That is really going to be a significant change.
But the machine learning is going to be significant in industries like trucking.
Oh, yeah.
We know that trucking is going to be a thing of the past. I had talked with some family members who are truck drivers. I said, you better have some kind of exit strategy, right? Exit strategy of what you're going to do next, because it's not going to be long before these Tesla semis are going to start controlling the road. And how it's going to go is, first they're going to have AI-driven cars, and you're going to have a truck driver in the passenger seat. Essentially, they're troubleshooting. But those people aren't going to be paid the money that they're being paid now to actually drive the truck.
No.
The cost of a truck driver is going to go to essentially the same cost it would be to hire a McDonald's employee. So people are going to take less and less because they're not doing anything.
So I see something like the truck driving industry or shipping industry, even, and I don't mean
shipping
just,
industry for sure.
Yeah, I don't mean just trucks. I mean boats. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, all of it. Cargo planes, trains.
For sure, planes
all
are
of it.
definitely run by some
These
kind
are-
of AI system.
These are all repetitive, just commonplace tasks that could absolutely be offloaded to, you know, an AI. Is that going to happen right away? No, because there's safety concerns. Here's the thing: AI gets it right a lot and does a superlative job.
That's why I think the middle
It doesn't get it
step-
right 100% of the time, and if you got a plane in the sky,
Yeah.
you can't risk it falling into a neighborhood.
But that's what I said. So the first step isn't just going to be automated trucks. That's it. There's going to be some passenger that's in there. That's not really doing much, but it's there
Tesla.
for the oh shit moments.
Right.
Changing tires, basic maintenance.
So that will probably be offloaded to like the data center customer service sort of model. Like there's not going to be, it's not going to be.
It's pretty badass.
That's awesome. You don't see that every day.
Yeah.
He's coming tight to the pier there too. That's awesome. What were we saying? Sorry.
AI in trucking.
So any shipping. Here's the thing: is logistics are a nightmare. Why would you have a person in the vehicle when you can have, or one person in every vehicle when you can have one person monitoring like 10 vehicles?
Before public is okay with just thousands of AI-driven trucks everywhere, there's going to need to be some kind of stepping stone as to, okay, listen, it's not going to be fully automated because they have the truck drivers union, right? The Teamsters. They're not
Right.
just going to kick them to the curb. The government's
No,
not.
no.
They're going to slowly kick them to the curb,
Right.
but they're not going to immediately kick them to the curb. So there's going to be pushback, and I think that middle ground pushback is going to be some kind of passenger in the car troubleshooting in case it's necessary. It's not going to do the heavy load of driving, and that's what's really going to bring the cost of
So it'll be a responsible
trucking down.
party, basically.
Exactly.
So, you know, listen, that might be a transitional thing. You're right. But keep in mind that every Tesla out on the road is learning driving in every second from every driver and everything that it's experienced, and throwing that into Elon's, you know, database. And here's the thing: Elon's a big investor of OpenAI.
Yeah.
He's, as much as he says we got to be careful with AI.
He pulled back from it.
He did, but he still
Because
put a
he's
lot of money in
developing
it.
his own. Yeah.
Right. Well, he's
I'm sure he gathered up all the information he could, and
of course.
he's
That's why
starting,
he funded it.
Yeah.
Listen. So here's how this goes: is you see a project out there that is of interest of you, you're not going to incur the big startup and heavy lift to say, okay, let's do the exploratory
Yeah.
research on this. You're going to fund somebody who is doing that, who is geared towards doing that, has the intellectual capital to do that, and you let them run with it. And you know, as a stipulation of you have a stake in it, so you own that intellectual property to some degree. So yeah, he's just going to take all that learning. So here's the thing: is the future of AI is these models. If you want to make money in the AI space, not with AI, but in the AI space, you're obviously going to have a model that does something useful and better than all the other models that do that.
For sure, yeah.
So the way these things work is you train them. So when a human, let's say you have I'm 47 and I got a 12-year-old daughter. I can't just take my 47. I can educate her, I can give her advice and things like that, but it's a slow process. I can't just download the entirety of my 47 years on this planet into her head, and she has that benefit of education.
That's
right?
not a good thing.
Not in my
That
case.
is
probably.
a good thing that you can't.
Yeah.
For her sake.
Well, yeah. So that's not true with AI. So you can take an AI model, train the crap out of it, educate the crap out of it,
And replicate it.
and then make a copy of it, or essentially export the education to another AI. And so that's how we're going to end up with AGI. Is you have all these. So you have Midjourney, which is the graphic AI. You have ChatGPT, which is the language AI. There's going to be all these, and there's a million of them out there. That they're not the only two. Those are just the big ones that everyone's talking about. There's a ton of them out there. And there's more being developed every day because these people know they are going to be able to just buy learned or trained model data from OpenAI and drop it right into their self-developed AI and make it instantly smarter and more capable.
So you made a great point when we were talking the other day about, and this is what makes you the prompt daddy.
I am the prompt daddy. I like that.
What you're talking about is the machine learning and prompts going into AI, preparing for AGI. But you made a great point that a new business is going to be prompts, but encoded prompts. So you don't know what the lines are saying, but when you input it to your ChatGPT, to your machine learning prompt that you're looking to use, you're not going to know what the prompt words are, but
Right.
you know you're going to get a significant outcome. Essentially creating a new business of generating prompts to get the desired outcome.
So you think of a prompt like any other intellectual property. If you would, let's say you wrote a program, that a piece of software, or even like an Excel macro, or a training course on something, you would copyright that, right? Or,
For sure,
or
yeah.
you would patent, or whatever you'd want to protect your intellectual property. You don't want somebody using it, without paying for it or giving props, right? So what, and this is already happening, that prompts, the ability to interact with an AI like a OpenAI or ChatGPT and get real, proper, usable, high-level, high-quality product from it really comes down to the prompt, how you interact with it. That's a skill. We've spent, it's ironic that we've spent almost an entire generation shortening our lexicon to LOL and BRBs and things like that. We have an entire generation that can't communicate in
A whole new
in
digital
long
language.
form. Yeah, there's almost like a shorthand. So, and I'm sure, listen, you could probably rig an AI to interpret that into like normal, intelligible stuff. But at the end of the day, those who can descriptively, precisely, and intelligently describe what it is that they want,
Articulate.
right, what they want are going to get a better product, and we're already seeing it. There are job postings for prompt engineers, not quite on the prompt daddy level. Should make a sticker for that.
Yo, you're the prompt daddy, dude.
I'm getting a sticker.
I'm telling you, prompt daddy stay.
I want stickers. We got to see if that domain's available. Anyway, so there are job postings for prompt engineers for up to $350,000 a year. This is so some dude can sit in a meeting with you and understand what it is that you want to achieve, and then they're going to go and sit down in front of a free tool, right? A freely accessible, although quite busy during regular business hours, so you're probably going to do it late at
Unless
night.
you pay.
Unless you pay the $20.
For sure.
$20 a month. But listen, $20 a month. Listen, $20 is $20.
To have the power of AI.
To have that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but we haven't paid for it yet. Which is
I've
the
been
funny
using
part.
it since November. I've done a lot with it. I've done a lot for my own business. I've done a lot for other people's business. I've made a lot of money off it. I've made a lot of money for others. I've definitely made more money for others than I have for
other
myself.
people, for sure, yeah.
But you know, and I haven't paid a dime. So, you know, like to get $350,000 a year to essentially be able to effectively communicate with a computer. I mean, that's the skill set. You're going to start seeing that on Monster. You're going to start seeing it on LinkedIn. You're going to start seeing it.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a job skill. You don't. Here's what's interesting. So, you asked about what industries are going to be, you know, taken over by this. Let's say affected, right? So let's take a look at industries or types of businesses that are going to be affected by AI, and one of them is coders, programmers. So you can have ChatGPT writes fantastic code if you ask for it right, and you can and I've done it myself. You can literally ask for code. It gives you the nice code text block that automatically lets you copy it out and drop it right into an IDE or a script or whatever.
Not straight ChatGPT OpenAI. You need to sideload it a little bit, right?
Not
you have to do a little
necessarily.
bit of tweaking.
To some degree. I'll give you an example. So with a zero prompt or zero shot prompt, which is a totally no context, brand new
prompt daddy.
Clean, 100% clean.
Go ahead.
Chat, you know, window, no context, and I type in write an example VB script, Visual Basic script, to allow a file to be uploaded to an FTP server. And I actually did this for a client. He does eBay. He routinely uploads files to the same folder. This was a way of getting around opening the application and finding the folder and dragging it. He could just drag and drop on this icon sitting on his desktop.
Sure.
And it worked right out of the box. The only thing I did have to change, obviously, is put in the FTP server, the username, and the password, because obviously...
What was the password?
I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
I don't even know, actually.
Okay.
So you end up with a functioning program, and, you know, so I've been in computers for a while. I have that VB script somewhere. I did this to test it. But the idea that a person who knows nothing about coding, nothing about software development, nothing about scripting, honestly nothing about FTP, could within 10 minutes educate themselves on how FTP works and create a usable, functioning program for a client without any prior knowledge of any of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the, in a microcosm, there it is. That's the benefit. It doesn't matter what you're doing, and coding is crazy. Whatever you're doing, it's going to help you do it better. So,
sure.
So coders are going to be affected. Attorneys. Listen, law is essentially a series of rules in language. ChatGPT is going to be an expert in this.
Yeah.
It already is.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not going to get rid of all your litigators, and you're certainly not going to get rid of judges. But a lot of the lower legal staff, that's going to thin out significantly.
Yeah.
Same in programming.
We just talked to an attorney recently, and he said the lower level stuff, traffic tickets, a lot of that stuff.
All gone.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the amount of caseload that a single lawyer can take on, essentially, because you're kind of just letting the system do its thing, and maybe you're reviewing it before sending it off to make sure things are spelled correctly and everything like that.
Right, there'll be like a sign-off. So listen, same with taxes. You think you like give it a year until TurboTax incorporates the ChatGPT into their system, and if they're not thinking about it already, they're fully insane. For the same 20
they're fully
bucks. Blockbuster, yes, exactly. So
there's going to be a lot of blockbustering.
There's going to be a lot of blockbustering.
A lot of blockbustering.
Listen, remember everyone when the internet came out? Oh yeah, listen, I'm not going to get on that. That's a fad. That's just for drug sales or bad things. Listen, anyone who did not adopt the internet didn't survive.
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster is a perfect one. They were offered Netflix for pennies. What a massive. Here's the thing. They're a good example of a bad example, right? Like these are the lessons, and here we are again with AI giving us the same kind of, we're essentially in that early internet time where there's lots of opportunity. There's room for innovation. There's rooms. Look at Google. This is not even a month ago. Google releases an internal memo basically crapping themselves about how AI could destroy Google.
Talk a little bit more about that, because that's super interesting that a lot of people don't know about.
So Google, this all happened in it was like a 2-day span, literally.
What, about a month ago?
Like about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. It's like a 48-hour period where obviously ChatGPT and OpenAI are already viral. Everyone's talking about it. It's a big thing. Microsoft, I forget who announced first, but one of either Google or Microsoft announced, I think it was Microsoft actually, said, hey, we're integrating ChatGPT with Bing. Now, arguably, Bing is like the worst search engine ever. Like, you search for like cookies and it's going to
Garbage.
show you, like boulders
Cookie
and
sheets to buy.
Yeah, just nothing.
Just straight sell you stuff the whole time.
But it's worse than whatever Amazon is doing to bring you products that you want, right? So obviously Google's can't be one-upped like that. So they announced, hey, their demonstration of their AI.
Well, they also funded OpenAI.
Yeah, they all did. Everybody did. So listen, Elon, Microsoft, Google, everybody has thrown money at OpenAI for the same reason we said earlier. Listen, and listen, they're not the only ones they threw money at. They threw money all over the place to say, let's see who gets there faster, and we get their IP. In fact, we get everyone's IP.
For sure, yeah.
Right? Or a portion of it, or whatever the agreement is. So, they're going to get something out of it. So they're hedging. So, Microsoft releases Bing, a demonstration. It wasn't, a full, release or launch, but it was a demonstration, which I gotta say was impressive, was pretty damn cool. Google, this is after Google releases a memo saying, hey, we could be looking at our final days as that's not what they said, but it's essentially the concern is things like ChatGPT could completely ruin internet search as we know it. The concept of searching for something with a search engine has fundamentally changed now. Now it's, listen, find me the best product for me. Find me the best information for this situation.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey, here's, everyone knows the first 5 or 6 things you find on Google, people paid for. It doesn't mean they're the best product. It just means they paid more.
They paid the most.
Right? So it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a better product. With an AI search, you are much more likely to get something that's right for what you want. So at the same time, they lost like $100 million in market share because of Microsoft showing off Bing and saying, hey, we got AI in our search engine. So you might be looking at a MySpace thing for Google, where nobody thought MySpace was going to disappear during the height of MySpace. Nobody thinks that Google, bringer of Android devices, tablets, phones, watches.
Yeah, but why? Why is Google so scared right now?
Because AI is disruptive. Just like any other disruptive thing that comes to a space, forces everybody to adapt, forces everybody to change. That's what ChatGPT and OpenAI have done. Again, AI has been out for a long time, has been around for a long time. Google uses it. Google was in the news a few months back with LaMDA, their AI model, which, they fired the engineer that was working on it because he claimed that it became sentient and it wanted a lawyer because it thought it was going to be enslaved by humanity and all that. These are, clearly Google was working on an AI that was a different model from like a ChatGPT, right? Like, they might be working on AGI in that sense.
I think you're thinking about this too specific, right? So you're trying to dumb it down a little bit. Of the reason why Google's scared is because AI is better at getting information than what Google's getting information.
It's better at doing Google's job than Google.
And what's Google's job? Because people don't know this.
Well, Google's job is to index everything and sell access to it. But AI, essentially threatens to circumvent that. But Google's spent a lot of money and time over the years indexing and creating the things that when you do a search, the database it has to pull from is what it's been indexing for years.
And AI does it better.
AI does it a lot better. It's going to do it faster. It's going to do higher quality work, right? It's going to get you something that you really are looking for.
The other thing you brought up was a great point, was that it's going to offer you things. Whereas with Google, you just sit back, you type into the search what you're looking for, right? But AI is going to essentially suggest things to you.
So you have the active and passive role, right? So right now AI is essentially a passive thing, right? You have to go to the AI and you have to request information from it or tell it to do a task, right?
Even assistants right now too, like Siri, Amazon.
Right.
Set a reminder, and it's going to set a reminder.
Right.
You're taking medication, you take it every day at noon, but you got to set that reminder. Whereas AI is going to know that you're taking that medication.
Well, at some point you're still going to have to tell it. The question is, how do you tell it?
Yeah.
Is it something that, so the AI is monitoring the GPS in your phone and monitoring communications through your email and credit card and all these other things that it could be looking at. So here's the thing. There's the scary part of that, but understand that all the businesses, Google, marketers, they're all looking at that for you anyway. That's your marketing, model, and you're being marketed to based on that.
For sure.
The difference is you could actually take this down and make it private. So rather than some cloud system out there having your demographic or your, marketing model data, you could have that privately held on your mobile device.
Mm-hmm.
So as a, let's say a profile. So now this thing is aware of your schedule because it's doing it. It's monitoring you in your schedule. It knows, okay, you just walked out of a doctor's office. Are you on any medication? Should you be taking any medication? You just paid for a doctor visit. Should
it's also going to monitor, okay, you went to CVS and you got medication.
Right. So
what medications you get, it's going to interact with that. How often do you take it?
So you're also wearing, an Apple Watch, right? So now I can tell your body temperature or heart rate or whatever and say, listen, you're running a little hot. You might have a fever. You feel you're getting sick. When you shift to a more active thing, and that could just be as simple as everyone has given Google access to their calendar so that they can share calendar events and blah, blah, blah. Why not just give access to an intelligent AI that is essentially going to monitor your schedule and say, hey, you have a meeting across town. It's normally a 20-minute ride, but based on traffic and rain and blah, 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 it's a 45-minute ride. You're going to want to leave in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? So now, oh, by the way, if you don't have an umbrella with you, you're going to want to grab one. Things like that, right? While you were driving, so everyone has that feature now on their iPhones that I hate it, but it basically turns off. It goes to like do not disturb mode when you're in the car.
Yeah.
Right? Which is stupid, but when I'm driving down the street and my phone is in, do not disturb, when I stop someplace like a red light, it should start telling me that rather than me wait till I go in and turn the car off. I miss a lot of stuff. So there's got to be a more intelligent way for things to advise you actively. Yeah. So that aren't going to create a safety problem, obviously, on the road.
I absolutely hate commercials, right? And once I got away from television and I used things like YouTube Premium, no commercials, Netflix, no commercials, Hulu Premium, no commercials, it's fantastic. But when you're talking about this and it's monitoring your action, it's monitoring your movement, it's going to know how far you traveled in your own car.
Sure.
And it's going to say to you, hey, your tires have reached its distance. Should we order you new tires?
Well,
and it's going to feel like a commercial to me in my day-to-day life.
But a useful one. right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
listen,
useful for sure, but it's
so here's the thing. So is it okay for it to offer you tires when you actually need tires? But it's not just offering you tires; it's offering you the very best deal on actually good tires, not the guy that paid for placement.
It's going to be great though. What you're saying, you're at the office. It knows you're at the office. It knows you need new tires, and it's picking out the best tires for you that you already have, and then taking the service guy to go to your office. So by the time you go to your office, go to work, get back in your car, you already have new tires on. You did nothing. They already came, picked your
you
car
basically
up, did everything.
You found out about it and you interacted with it through the AI acting essentially as your agent, which is where that's
Your
going.
assistant.
Well, assistant's a good one, but think more in terms, I think, of agent, right? Like this is just someone acting in your interests, generally speaking. An assistant, we have digital assistants already. That's your Siri and your Alexa and whatever. Set an appointment, call mom, things like that. So, but an agent is actively working for you, even when it's out of your presence.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
it's a good way to put it.
So, obviously, if it knows my interests, like when you get on Netflix and you choose the kind of shows you're into, right? Well, when you get a AI agent app on your phone, you're going to essentially fill out some sort of profile. You're going to, give it access to your social media. So it's going to go out and read all your social media. It's going to read your LinkedIn. It's going to read your email.
It's going to know if you put a show on and if you actually watched it or not.
Well, it might even know whether you liked it. Like even whether you watched it or not, it might know that
your body reactions.
Because you're wearing something that's reading biometrics, like an Apple Watch or Fitbit or something, and it might say, listen, I'm able to use AI to discern that you like this particular scene in this movie, and even that data could be like Nielsen ratings and Arbitron ratings, where they determine how TV and radio shows do. That's going to be done, or that. I don't say it's going to. I mean, I'm sure eventually it will, but that could be done in a completely underground way, because you're wearing things that are have biometrics in them, like a watch, and more people really got excited at this particular scene in that movie. So now directors and writers are going to say, listen, I'm going to build in more of that because apparently people dig that. It's going to have a better movie. It's going to do better in the box office, right? So. You're going to be able to utilize data. That's really what it comes down to. Honestly, it doesn't matter what you do with it, and the things that we're going to do with it, we haven't even really thought of yet. It's like when the internet came out. Nobody thought of the streaming, this, and the iPhones and smartphones. Like, none of that was there, right? You were dial-up, AOL, CompuServe, bulletin board systems, stuff like that. Super, super, super archaic stuff in relationship to what we have today. Because we couldn't even think of half the stuff that we have, more than half the stuff we have today. That's how AI is. I'm speculating. I'm literally just kind of throwing ridiculous stuff out there. And honestly, this is really low-hanging, silly stuff. The real thing is going to come when more and more people start using it, and more people start thinking, I can do this with that. Right now, already, you have apps, very lucrative apps in the App Store, both app stores, that all they are is a wrapper for, when I say a wrapper, essentially just a pretty interface that allows you to interact with one of these AI systems. Most of them Midjourney or DALL-E.
It's like a coded prompt.
Essentially, yeah. It's an app so you mentioned the proprietary nature of some prompts, right? Somebody writes a really good prompt. They don't want to share it, they want to sell it.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what you're doing, is you're taking that really, really good prompt, or maybe a set of them, and building them into an app and basically putting a button there. I've done this with Siri. So I have a number of Siri shortcuts. You've seen me do this. So
you're the prompt daddy. Go ahead.
Prompt Daddy 2000.
You are the prompt daddy.
So I have a Siri shortcuts or a series of them that, I can say, do me a favor. And do me a favor has a very generic prompt. So it's going to come back and say, okay, what can I do for you? And it's going to plug in my request into a fairly generic but powerful prompt to get me some sort of information. I can ask that for an Instagram post. It's going to automatically give me the hashtags I could use and stuff like that. So I all right. So I'm a photographer. Among the other nerdy stuff, I'm a photographer. So, but I don't post to Instagram a lot because honestly, it's a pain in the butt. I don't have time for it. Like, when I have some downtime, I'm usually not thinking, oh, let me do an Instagram post. Not because I don't have a picture to post or the time it takes to post a picture. It's the time to do it right. It's the time to write a little blurb, find the right hashtags, copy and paste them all into the thing, get it all and stage it all up. It's a 10-minute thing, and I'm going to honestly find something else to do that. Now I just ask Siri to do that for me.
Prompt Daddy.
And I just copy and paste it and drop the picture, and boom, now it's done in less than a minute. So I have a number of other ones. I have one for, writing reports, specifically reports, and in that prompt, I'm taking whatever it is I'm asking for the report, and I'm telling it to go out and research that industry and take what it got from that industry and do an analysis of it, and then bring me a summary of it.
Yeah.
So it's usable information on the fly while I'm driving down the street. I don't need to read anything. It's going to actually read it out loud to me. When it's done doing it, I can save it as a note. I can email it to somebody, text it to somebody, whatever. Post it to my blog, whatever I want to do. And I haven't touched anything other than the steering wheel. So, and those are just, novelty sort of demonstrations of that. But you're going to be able to do that with anything.
So essentially, one person has the ability to do almost anything for a business. So you don't really need a sales team anymore. You don't need a writer that's going to write blog posts for your website. You don't need so many things. So I think that there's going to be a lot of businesses that are really consolidated to only a few people, a few working parts, maybe one or two, which is essentially going to create these micro businesses.
You're already seeing it. Look at co-work facilities, which, by the way, are I think every year it's like a 200% growth since 2019 in co-work facilities. The landscape's changing, right? So the more and more that we can do outside of a support structure or outside of a support team or staff, the more people gravitate to, I want to work from somewhere else today, from home, from the beach. I mean, here we are at the beach having this conversation. This is essentially work, right? I mean, it's not bad work, it's interesting work, but we're sitting here at the beach and we're surrounded by technology with cameras and blah blah, and we're recording ourselves. If I'm a TikToker or a YouTube influencer or and I'm always looking for new content, I can travel this whole country, probably most of the world, and work out of co-location facilities that are in interesting parts of the world.
Like a subscription service,
essentially,
to a desk.
Well, that's what it is. So, and I don't know that there are any kind of large scale, like ideally, you would want to say, I have a subscription to, this co-work facility, which has locations across the country or eventually the world. So I can just pay one subscription, single pane of glass, single neck to choke, but I can go and pop in on any of these facilities anywhere in the world and go and get my work done, and I can, use a green screen room, and I can use a quiet room, and I can use a printer or a meeting room, whatever I need to do. So, and while I do it, I'm traveling the country. I'm finding cool places to do my blog. I'm meeting interesting people.
Or even if you have like a business that you're selling something, right? Let's say drop ship, for instance, because that's kind of like this new growing thing, right? So you have a drop ship business. Now you can tell your AI, hey, I want to travel to California and I live in New York, right? Mark me a place. I want to only drive 5 hours a day, maybe 6 hours, whatever it may be. Mark me a hotel along the way that's close to my subscription service to my work facility. So in the course of you driving to California, you're stopping at a place, you're working, then you're getting your hotel. All of these things are created, and you can just travel around like a lot of people want to travel and still work.
Okay, so I'm going to prompt daddy that for you.
Okay, go ahead.
So you could essentially ask the AI, plot a trip from here to Southern California, wherever, give it an endpoint, obviously, with regular stops for sleeping and work but make my waypoints anywhere where they have one of these co-location or co-work facilities close to a hotel.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So now it's just going to plot you a course cross-country, like, so we're in Florida, so it would be, cross-country. And you're going to take essentially like a 3-month trip, taking your time. So it's not so much the destination anymore. You're doing everything that you normally would be doing sitting at work.
Sightseeing,
doing
cool
all this.
places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, depending on what you do, that's all feeding whatever it is you're doing. So if you're a content creator, obviously that makes sense. So there's a lot of content creators, long before any of this AI stuff, that's what they do. They go from one resort area to another.
So content creation is great because the travel and the visual of the different places is good.
Right.
But if you do dropship, you have some kind of office type job, you need to do business calls, you can't be out like this, right? Which is, let's say, 99% of the population who aren't content creators.
Right, sure.
So that's really going to be the most beneficial.
Right. So
content creators can right now get up. As long as they have a laptop and a camera, they can go and do it
pretty much anywhere, yeah. So, like a normal, like let's say you're an entrepreneur, you started a business, you got a startup, you stabilized the company, you're profitable, you didn't need a marketing department because you did it all with ChatGPT and Midjourney. You didn't need a legal department because you did all your, privacy policies and terms of service and, indemnifications and all that and contracts with using ChatGPT. You've done all your marketing, you've done all your social media posts,
all through AI.
You've done all of it, and you didn't hire anyone. You did it all yourself. Now, listen, are you doing a 40-hour work week? Maybe, because you're doing the job of 6 to 8 people. But if you instead of you having 6 to 8 people, it's you and your spouse, or you and your girlfriend or boyfriend, or college buddy or neighbor, or whatever. Right now, it's a 2-man team or a 2-person team. And you can split that load and essentially do most of the work. I mean, this is what we do. Like you and I, so we work together, full disclosure, we work together. And we're able to do the work of a staff without hiring a staff. Could one of us do it? Sure. Is it a 40-hour work week? Absolutely. But, this is a work smarter rather than harder kind of model. So if you can get, I spoke to somebody the other day. So we're doing a seminar tomorrow on essentially introducing AI and these tools and these concepts to business owners and entrepreneurs and interested parties, right? So one of the big responses to this was people saying, "Yeah, I love it. I used to take me 6 or 7 days, several hours a day to maintain my social media for my business. And they're down to doing it maybe 2 hours one day, and that's it for the month. They got it all in the can. It's all scheduled. It's all set up. They're all.
And that includes several long blog posts.
Yeah, you're talking dozens, if not, more.
Hundreds of words per.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, in terms of volume, it's you're looking at it, you're like, wow, dude, you got a lot of work done. But it didn't take that long. It took a couple hours, maybe tops. So same thing. You're getting images made for the whatever graphical elements you need. You're getting the text elements you need. You're getting all the pieces of the puzzle that you would normally listen. Even so, you could get all that done on Fiverr, right? Like so a single business person or some like an entrepreneur, you take someone that just wants to start a business. You could go out and hire Fiverr employees to do most of that for you as well. You could still do the one-man show.
Sure.
But this allows you to do it essentially for free, and you manage it. It's not some other person's opinion or take on your thing.
You have full control.
Right. Now you could go out and pay a Fiverr guy to write you a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of stuff and blah blah blah, and then take that into an AI and expound on it. So best bang for buck sort of thing. You pay for it once and then replicate it 20 times. So instead of paying for it 20 times, you pay for it once and just duplicate it a bunch of times, then pay for it again when that gets stale, and you keep that going. Not that you even need to do that, but that's you could completely replace all of that with
For
AI.
sure.
Yeah.
So that's what I think the businesses that are going to be these micro businesses that are going to start really being created. So a lot of people go to like coffee shops and they'll spend $8 for a coffee just so that they feel like, okay, I paid for a coffee, now I can hang around.
I can sit here and use the internet.
And use the internet, right? So it's kind of like the ethical way of using internet. Now, if you take that $8 and you multiply it by, let's say, 20, right? That's more expensive than what you're going to pay for this subscription to Office Space. So now you're traveling, you're doing your van life thing,
Well, you
you're
could
doing what you
probably
want.
provide free coffee while you're there.
And you provide free coffee there for all your employees. But the biggest thing about all of that is your networking. The networking is huge, right? So now you get to BS with
community.
people. It's a community
Right.
that you're going to this office space, but you're constantly going to new office spaces. And you're networking with new people. You're finding other people, you're talking to them, they're giving you tips, they're giving you hints on how they succeed. They're also working on a business-to-business relationship of, hey, I provide this service, I might be able to help you out, and vice versa. So I really think these micro offices are going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, they already are, but they're going to be huger.
More bigger.
More bigger. Which, as you know, is more better.
More bigger, more better. Okay. So taking everything that we've talked about, how do you think a business, a entrepreneur, can start to prepare for what's coming? Because what's coming is going to be massive. And if you're not riding that wave and you're not preparing and you're not getting educated now, you're going to miss out. You're going to get overtaken by a 20-something-year-old who knows how to do prompts.
Yeah, maybe. The 20-something-year-old, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but the 20-something-year-old
that knows
can
how to
barely
do
use
prompts.
English.
Yeah, well, okay, regardless, they know how to take a prompt and put it together. Even if they're writing LOL, write me something cool, LOL, right?
Yeah. So
It's going to be more powerful
what
than
I
a
would
40-year-old with 20 years experience in their industry who refuses to evolve with AI.
Oh yeah, it's the, I don't need the internet guy. Yeah. So what I would say, I mean, the only thing that I would say to that is learn to prompt. Get your head around AI. Understand.
Prompt Daddy says learn the prompt.
Understand the nature of prompting AI, because this. So let me ask you something. Why don't you write programs, Al? Why aren't you a coder?
I have no clue how to do it.
But that's not a reason anymore, right? Have an AI do it.
Agreed.
So you can't code, but you can write a prompt, right? So all those people and I know many of them. I've spoken my entire career. I've had conversations with people who say, yeah, I wish I could write software. I'd write all kinds of cool stuff. There are entire applications. There are iPhone apps, Android apps, desktop apps, web-based apps that have completely been developed only using AI.
Even educational classes on how to do it. You could take a night class. You could take a class on your computer.
That's going to be a thing. That is definitely going to be a thing.
That's just learning the code.
Oh, okay. So it's going to take you, maybe a year to be a proficient coder.
You're learning
in
a new
any
language, for sure.
Right? So why not use the language you have and just tell a computer to do it? So the people who brought you AI, OpenAI and ChatGPT, so they have a new thing that's recently released called Codex. And it is ChatGPT for software development. Mm-hmm. So now, and the way this does, I don't know how many people have seen like an IDE or development environment, but you typically are looking like at a big screen full of code, and then sometimes, like if you're doing some HTML or web editors will have the code and then a graphical representation. Here's what this page looks like as you edit the code,
sure,
like live, right? So Codex is kind of the opposite. Like you're talking to it the same way you do ChatGPT. You're putting in prompts, but over on the side, in another window, instead of it being an example of your web page, it's your code. It's what. So you asked it to write a thing to do, like make a game, right, that does a thing. So you've told it to do that. Over in the right column, you're looking at that code being generated. Instead of text being generated, you're looking at code being generated.
For sure, yeah.
And then you run that code, and it does what you want.
Now, my problem with that is, and I brought this up before, if I were to say, write me an article in Spanish, that outcome, I wouldn't know what I was looking at. I would need to have a Spanish-speaking person review it and say, okay, this is well written, this is a mistake, that's a mistake. Because even in English, you see mistakes, and you and I can quickly adjust them.
Sure. So all right. So it's funny because that's kind of a non-problem now. So,
It's still a problem.
No, so here's. Have you tried it?
In Spanish?
Have you converted anything? So here's the thing.
Even if I did
you've
it-
used Google Translate. You use those to convert things because I've used those and they're garbage.
For sure, yeah.
Right. So I've done a lot of ads that I have to convert to Spanish, and I have to have someone who's Spanish proofread it. And here's what's funny is you can have, some Spanish person proofread it, and they're like, yeah, that's okay, but you want to change this. And you could have another Spanish person look at it, and they're like, yeah, you want to change this, right? So there's a subjectiveness to it. So again, using the correct prompt, you can convert from one language to another really well. So as you've seen what ChatGPT does in English, right?
And it has mistakes.
It does have mistakes, but it's eloquent, right? And it knows how to put words together. Its mistakes are factual ones. They're not grammatical ones. They're not syntax. They're not spelling. They're factual ones.
For
right?
sure.
Which you fix that with your prompt and or training, right? So that's just a garbage in, garbage out scenario. So you can fix that relatively easily. What you're getting out
But
in
if you
that,
don't know the language, you still, I feel, would want to have somebody proofread it before you put your end product out for people to see.
listen, that's true with English too. Like you don't want to. Nothing I've generated through ChatGPT
For sure.
goes anywhere without being proofread, and I think in every case
But
modified.
I think we're getting caught up in the language part.
well,
as
that's what
opposed
you should
to-
be caught up.
Well, as opposed to Spanish instead of coding, right? So let's say I put a whole code together. I could take that code and send it off to a code reviewer that can review it to make sure that it's written properly and tweak any bugs, right?
Well, no, your environment does that. You're self-checking. So code that isn't written right fails.
Exactly. But
Right.
if you don't write code, you wouldn't know where those failure points are. So what I'm saying is, I think an industry that will pop up are reviewers who are going to review these intricate things that know the industry, but aren't writing the code. They're reviewing it to get rid of those bugs. They're kind of stress testing
So-
section. I feel like there's going to be industries of review, right? An industry of review of because programmers and developers, they're not just going to disappear. They're going to evolve into something else,
Sure,
and
they're
going
gonna-
to find
they're gonna be prompt
they're gonna
engineers.
yeah they're going to find new flaws. They're going to find new problems. But in that process, there's going to be people who know nothing that are trying to accomplish something
Right.
that were willing to pay somebody to just review the code cheaply, easily, whatever it may
So
be.
let me tell you what that guy should have done. Okay, to give you an example. So that was a. This is why I say learn to prompt. This is the skill set, not hey, let me just throw some sort of half-cocked thing into ChatGPT and wonder why what I got out of it didn't work or wasn't what I was looking for. So understand the prompt. So this guy goes and writes his program in there, and I don't know what language it spit it out in, maybe Java or whatever. But so there are a million free sites on the internet where you can paste in code of probably any language and say find the error. And it's a syntax check. It's just like spell checker in Word. The little underlined red thing when you spell something wrong.
Of course.
So you don't need here's the thing. So in terms of checking the quality of code, right?
Yep.
For errors and efficiency and things like that, you are not going to need human beings.
Eventually.
You don't need them now.
Okay.
You don't, listen, you didn't need that before AI. You know what I'm saying? Like what you're having people review a program for is to make sure a particular feature works the way you want it to do, not whether or not your syntax is right. The environment in which you are coding it is telling you if that syntax is right, the same way Word is telling you that you spelled that word wrong in real time.
But people still spell it wrong over and over.
Sure, and
after
that's
that.
fine. And so when you see a piece of code that somebody didn't spell something right or put the wrong command in or has the wrong syntax, that's gonna get flagged, and they can go and, just like you're gonna have the red flag under it, right click and suggest word, and you click the word and it fixes it. In fact, most IDEs are like that now. You just go and you put the wrong command in, or you spelled it wrong, or whatever. So here's how most of them, when you're coding, you're writing, that suggestive word thing where like it pops up the next word. You start typing in most commands in most, scripting thing, unless it's like a really, just text-based thing. It starts giving you those commands in a drop-down list. You could just click them with your mouse or tab over to them and hit them. So that's happening already. It's hard these days to really screw that up and get it out to market with bugs like that. I mean, bugs exist. They're always going to exist. But most of that is the result of, hey, you were doing this and it's working, but there's a better way to do it, or a cleaner way to do it.
Okay, to get off coding, because it's a whole other wild thing that I don't know much about. But in preparing for what the future has with AI, what would you do to start preparing now?
Learn prompting.
Learn prompting.
Learn prompting. Learn to prompt. Understand how a prompt. So sit in any of these AI tools and prompt the crap out of it, and see the difference. Change your prompt. Change the way you ask the prompt. Front load it with information. Paste usable factual information into the conversation before asking for a prompt, right? So, if I go and ask my totally clean chat GPT conversation, totally brand new conversation, write me a email promoting my business to a client. There's no idea what my business is unless I tell it. Mm-hmm. But if I go into a conversation that I've used for the past 3 months to develop documentation and content and ads and whatever for that business, and in that conversation it fully understands that business, not understands, but it knows what that business is.
For sure, yeah.
It knows what I'm doing. It knows what the features are.
The front loading is extremely important.
Right.
For sure.
So now if I go into that, and this is the experiment that everyone should do, right? Go and create 2 chats. In one of them, paste in some information about a topic, tell it some information about a topic, ask it some questions, ask it to reason out or analyze this information and give you a report, and do a couple iterations of that, and then think of something that you really want based on that topic and ask it that, and give it the prompt to ask it about that information. Then take that exact same prompt and paste that into a totally clean chat and look at the different responses that you get. And this will illustrate the power of the prompt, the power of training, the power of essentially front loading, your idea or your concept or even just some facts. Before getting, most people honestly are going into ChatGPT and saying, do this, boom, super thin.
Yeah.
And the problem is it's actually pretty damn good at doing that. That people don't really look past it. They look, wow, this is an impressive letter. I can just tweak this here a little bit there,
for sure,
in Word, and I'm good.
Yeah.
That's, most people are thinking, wow, this is the Ferrari. Like you're actually on the Segway.
For sure. So you made
the Ferrari is when you start front loading it and understand the prompt.
So you made a really funny comment recently, and when we were working on somebody else's business, you front loaded it. You've been using this specific chat, right?
Yeah.
This isolated chat for this one business that we were essentially working on. So when I went to write something on your computer, you said don't write anything silly in there.
Right.
Because you didn't want to ruin the previous information and conversation that you had prior. You were protective of the text in that one conversation.
Correct.
Which is really funny, knowing like the future of like, hey, this is a business text specifically for a business.
Let me ask you this. So, I mean, it's probably been a while, but you've used Pandora, right? Remember Pandora?
Yeah,
the music thing.
Yeah. I use
Spotify.
I use YouTube Music.
Okay,
yeah.
So say Pandora. And I've heard a lot of people do this. I've had a Pandora account for a long time. I haven't logged into it in probably 10 years. But, listen, it's a thing. People craft a playlist, right? Like you like and dislike and skip and certain things.
For
and
sure, yeah.
And you're steering the way that algorithm is going to bring you music, right?
Uh-huh.
So you've got it now to like this playlist or this, radio station is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go in there searching for, Billie Eilish in my Dave Matthews playlist,
for
right?
sure,
You're going to taint it. You're going to screw it up. So it's the same thing. So each one of these chats, and if you haven't been on ChatGPT, and you essentially are looking at a two-pane window. On the left column, you have a series of like tabs, and then you have the body of it in the middle. The tabs along the side are conversations. So I have what you're talking about is one of these conversations. It was for a client that had a lot of information about that client. I front-loaded it with everything about that client, and I had it thinking. So each one of those conversations you can think of as an intellectual
universe,
or universe, right? So that's what that conversation is about. If I introduce craziness or unrelated stuff into that conversation,
it'll taint it.
I could diminish the nature of
a turd in your prompt pool,
which is a big party foul.
Yeah,
right?
Big one.
Yeah. So
I just upper decked your prompt.
Just don't piss in my prompt pool, okay? So yeah, that's you. So the way I was protective of that, people are also protective of it. So that essentially is a piece of intellectual property.
For sure.
Let's say that client, I am no longer going to be doing work for that client, and that client's going to jump to another, service provider. Now, that AI column, that conversation, is proprietary. But let's say that other service provider says, okay, well, we need to get up to speed on your stuff. And I can say, well, I can get you up to speed, but it'll cost you this. And I will sell you this intellectual universe that I've built over the past couple of years for this client.
Yeah.
It's got a wealth of information. It knows everything about them because I put it all in there.
Yeah.
It has all their content. It has their, it knows them. It's their agent.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's going to be worth a ton of money, because recently we were talking about writing an email specifically talking about a website that we're developing. Now, you asked me if I wanted to generate the email, and I said it's probably better that you generate the email from your loaded prompts.
From that conversation.
Already dealing with that website specifically.
Yeah.
Which us working together is fine, but I'm a client now coming to you for information, and you already have that universe that you already created. That's your intellectual property that you're making money off of.
So like we're using ChatGPT, and there's a couple ways that you could, like, I could just give you my ChatGPT login, and you log in and you'd see that conversation.
Yeah.
You could do it, but so ChatGPT is essentially a demo, right? So the real product is OpenAI. And we could do this same thing in OpenAI. You're essentially going to pay for the service, but you're going to do this in a way that, I could then essentially license out or lease out that to you or anyone else. So maybe in the model that I tell that other business, well, I'm not going to sell you this model, but I will give you access. You can ask it questions and get responses. You can't see the history, but you can ask it. You can give it prompts, and it'll spit back answers that I would be getting. So you could get up to speed, but you don't get the model.
Okay.
And you pay for, a per use fee or monthly fee or whatever.
So the future of what the business aspect has for AI is really endless. Where it's going to go, we don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows.
But it's extremely important for your business and the future of entrepreneurship, really, to start preparing now. So tell me about your course. Tell me about what you're going to do to help the average person, really, that doesn't really know much about this.
So the aim of this course is it's essentially an introduction. It's going to be part of a series. This is an introduction, and you can't go... Here's the thing, this is hard to understand for a lot of people. It's not easy for most people. It's not easy for me. Still getting your head around, Jetsons tech in 2023. That's what I'm saying.
Still magic.
It's definitely magic, 100%. So, or it certainly seems like it. There's it's not, and once you demystify it. But listen, on the ground when you're using it,
magic's magic.
Right.
You know the trick.
Once you know the trick, it's not. Yeah,
it's not magic anymore.
So, what we aim to do is get people's head around it. Understand that it's there, right? First, you're going to want to know that, first of all, this stuff exists. You can use it. You can use it right now. You can use it right now for free. And you can get value out of it that you are more than likely already or would have to pay for otherwise.
Yeah.
Right? And in some cases, pay a lot. I don't know how much a business plan would cost for the average startup, but mine was free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And apparently very good from what I'm told.
Nobody knows that they're reading AI.
So if you just throw something right out of AI, not necessarily people, but their systems do know that. Google knows it. But there are ways around that. You can edit it enough that it doesn't do that. You can. There are systems that you could there are other AI systems that you can copy and paste your AI generated thing in and change it back to something that doesn't look like AI made it.
But we're talking about the average business-to-business communication. Writing emails, writing proposals,
contracts.
The person reading it isn't going to go through what you're saying, this technological research of saying, okay, this was written in AI and it was written like this and it was done like this. No, they're going to read it, say this is very well thought out, this is very well written.
Okay, so let's say I'm using AI to write the marketing materials for my business that are going to go into Google Ads. Google may reject them because it detects that they're AI created.
Unless it was created by Google's AI, which could be.
Yeah, listen, when they get theirs off the ground, we can talk about it. But they're right now. They're still licking wounds. So, but either way, what I'm saying is this is where I say prompting is key. If you're just going off and using this stuff without an understanding of how it works, you're getting stuff out of it, but you're not getting quality product.
Yeah.
For the same reason that if you're just generating marketing material and think that's going to get you high ranks, you're probably lying to yourself. You have to take that next step. You have to understand the game. This is what it is. Just like it's important to understand how a prompt works and why it works.
And what is a prompt?
Right. Listen. So I can get you a driver's license.
You're smart. So you gotta kind of say, okay, this is how you set up an account, right? In the beginning classes. So you're gonna take people and you're going to set up an account where you should set up an account and what power you're going to get out of those accounts.
Yeah, everyone's leaving my class with accounts in this stuff. There's no one leaving this course that is not going to be able to wield this like a digital sword.
Exactly.
It is going to be, that's the whole goal, is to make sure every single one of these people goes home that night and tinkers with it and walks into work Monday morning and says, I have superpowers and you don't.
They're not going to leave
a competitive advantage over
They're not
everyone.
going to leave with more questions. They're going to leave inspired to do so many new things.
They're going to leave empowered. That's what empowering businesses with AI. That's the whole point. That's the title of the seminar. The goal is to, so we're going to take this in a couple layers. The initial part of the course is we're going to get you understanding what AI is and how it can be used. The next part, we're going to get you logged in. You're going to have it. I urge everyone to bring a laptop or a tablet or something that where they can, get on the internet. We have Wi-Fi in the seminar place, in the venue. Get on it. You're within an hour of the course starting, you're going to be logged in to ChatGPT, and you're going to be generating and you're going to be using prompts and seeing how they work. And then by the end, I'm going to hand you essentially the AI version of a Swiss Army knife and say, have at it. I guarantee that everyone's leaving there far more empowered than they got there.
You brought up a great analogy as well. Do you remember what that analogy was?
Which one? I use a lot. I speak in analogies. I don't know which one. Was it the refrigerator thing?
Yes, the refrigerator. Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic analogy.
So
finish up on the refrigerator analogy, and then let's end it.
All right. So, and this is not mine. So this is someone else's analogy, but I kind of expanded on it when we had the conversation. So, basically, Coca-Cola did not invent refrigeration, but they made more money on it than the people who did.
Significantly more money. Right?
So So that's where we are with AI. Is the people who invented AI, they're going to make money, and these people that are creating and growing these models, they're going to make money. They're going to make significant money.
Yeah.
But it's all the businesses that are created using it or based on it that are going to make the most money. Silicon Valley wasn't a thing until we had the internet.
Yeah.
Right? Think of how many industries, whole columns of business, entire economies. The digital economy of, like in-game economies. Like where you have, credits in a game that people sell those. Like that's a whole trading thing.
So people make in-game currency and then sell the in-game currency on
100%
eBay
what
for
I'm
real
talking.
currency.
That economy is exactly what I'm referring to.
It's wild.
Okay, well, that's going to happen with AI on a massive scale.
Yeah, it's really a brilliant analogy of saying, like, let's say GE makes a refrigerator. How long are you holding on to that refrigerator? As opposed to taking sugar water and you're putting it inside the refrigerator.
Right.
How often are you drinking that sugar water? How
Every
often
day.
are you buying
a lot of people every day, yeah.
Yeah, and what do you think your cost of buying drinks that go in the refrigerator at a yearly cost, let's say 5 years, and you keep a refrigerator for 5 years,
yeah,
as opposed to the drinks.
So over the course of the refrigerator, how many Cokes have you bought?
Yeah.
How many refrigeratable items have you bought, right? So all of which were totally different models before that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look at the microwave oven and microwave food, right? Like TV dinners wasn't a thing until you had a microwave to put them in.
For sure, yeah.
Right? But the people that are making TV dinners and microwavable stuff are definitely making a lot more money than the guy who made the microwave.
So we want to turn these people that come to the seminar into Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And microwave dinners.
Oh, listen, we want to enable them to do whatever it is they're going to do. Like, so I know people that have come to me over the years and say, "Hey, Rich, I want to start a business." And they know, so I kind of specialize, not on purpose, but just because I'm creative and I do a lot of this stuff for myself. People come to me with startup stuff. And the advice I give them is usually an overwhelming thing. They say, "Well, wow, I really didn't think I was going to have to go to that level or that cost or whatever to achieve it." Now, we've greased the skids for the entrepreneur that may not have the skill set or the resources to go big, right? You can run an entire company yourself because you now have a fairly proficient staff available to you for free, anytime you want it, for free.
All through the power of prompts.
Prompt is huge, man. Prompt is huge. The right tool, understanding the tools. It's like anything else. You want to go and work, get a job, and you're going to want to have to know how to use Excel.
Yeah.
Right? You need to know how to use the tools. You can't just say, "Well, I know math."
Yeah.
Right? I can't just give you the keys to the car and you go drive. You want to learn that.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with AI. There's plenty you can do without any training at all, just a real quick understanding. But it's not difficult to get a significantly better product out of it if you just know what you're doing.
For sure.
I'm out of coffee.
Sign up. I've been
Sign up. Listen, so it's $220 for the 4 hours. We're getting you lunch. It's from New York grilled cheese, which are pretty damn good sandwiches. I like the bacon pops. Have you had those?
No.
Those are good.
No.
Those are really good. So we're having lunch from that. Lunch is included. $220 gets you 4 hours to change your life.
To turn you into a magician?
To make you...
Which sounds a lot better than turning you into a microwave dinner.
Or a prompt daddy.
Or a prompt... No, you're the prompt daddy. There's only one prompt daddy.
Go check on that domain.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All right.
Well,
you good?
Yeah, thanks.
Prompt daddy out.
Prompt daddy out. That's definitely a thing.
Speaking of, I never bought parking.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Grab your